Lewis Hall, the left-back situation at Manchester United, what is going on there? We have heard over the weekend various reports about Manchester United being keen on him being open to a move. Manchester United feel they can get a deal done. Lots of ifs and buts and maybes, though, about whether he is going to leave Newcastle. Are they willing to sell him? I think he's got the same agent as Eddie Howe. What does that mean? Does that mean anything? We've had the likes of Andy Mitten, we've had Sully Talks mentioning it, all saying a similar thing, that United are keen on him and they feel like a deal can be done and he's open to the move, but there's still that sort of big question about what are Newcastle going to do. Now, Newcastle obviously having a bit of a fire sale. Tonali's gone. Gordon's gone. Guimaraes looks like he's on the way out. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Does that mean they're going to have a complete fire sale and go, right, anyone who wants to go and get decent money for, off you pop, and we'll have a massive overhaul? Or are they going to go, well, we're not going to lose everyone. If we're going to lose 3 key players, we can't afford to lose 4. So we'll have to wait and see. But this does feel like it's edging forward a little bit, tentatively. It's a lot of the stories are very similar, and until we get a, exclusive from David Ornstein saying Manchester United have made a bid or terms are agreed or a deal agreed or anything like that, then it's difficult to see just where this deal is going at the minute, because whilst there's a lot of smoke, there's only a little bit of fire. So let me know what you think. Do you want Lewis Hall? Do you think we should be getting Lewis Hall? Do you think he is going to come? Because that is the big question. We know that Manchester United do need to strengthen in that area. I want to see us get a left-back, because that means that you're going to see Ballon Dorgu, hopefully, a little bit further up the pitch. You're going to have Shaw and Lewis Hall as your left-back options. Plus, let's not forget, if you needed to, you could even use Delo there or Mazraoui there, obviously, as long as you got cover on the right-hand side. So it's just one of those in it at the minute where you're sort of waiting for it to take a step forward. Even when there is a bit more news, it's not massive. Now, new news of a different sort is on, if that makes any sense, probably doesn't, is on Miles Lewis-Skelly. Now, before you go, what you're talking about, Jay, Miles Lewis-Skelly, he's an Arsenal homegrown talent. He played in the Champions League final. They're never going to sell him. I hear you. Believe me, I do. However, in the Independent, Miguel Delaney, I think, is banging the drum that United still feel like there could be something there in their pursuit of Miles Lewis-Skelly. We were looking at him last season. Now, last season, when United were linked with him, he wasn't starting for Arsenal. He wasn't getting in the team. I think he was sort of on the bench, and certainly in midfield it was Zubamendi and Rice. However, he started playing more towards the end of the season, playing in some big, important games for Arsenal, both in the Champions League and in the league as well, and did very well in those games. So that's kind of made everyone think, well, surely they're not going to sell him now. However, Miguel Delaney and the Independent still seems to think that Arsenal might sell him if, and it's the hugest of huge ifs, they pursue Vinicius Jr. They're thinking, well, maybe they'll need to free up some funds, maybe FFP and all the rest of it, or whatever you call it nowadays. That can help with that. Could they be open to selling Miles Lewis-Skelly? Also, with the fact Bruno Guimaraes could be heading in there, that's another body in midfield. Let's not forget, though, Miles Lewis-Skelly can play at left-back, which is why Manchester United are probably looking at him as well, because it's like he ticks 2 boxes, strengthens that midfield, and gives you an option at left-back. However, a homegrown talent who's just done very well for him, who's still very young, I think he's 19? I'm very sceptical about this one. I'll put it in the highly unlikely column. Now, you may say, well, you can trust Miguel Delaney, he knows his stuff. I mean, he blocked me on Twitter once for calling him out, but that's a different story we don't need to get into. We'll have to wait and see. And let's wait and see what happens with the bare pursuit of Vinicius Jr., because I just don't see that happening, to be honest with you. I might see him pursuing him. I just don't see Vinicius Jr. signing for Arsenal at all. But as always, we'll see what happens. We'll keep you posted. And like the Rodri to Madrid deal, a lot of these deals just dependent, aren't they, on what's going to go on at Madrid. What is Jose Mourinho going to do? Who does he like? Who doesn't he like within his squad? Which additions does he want to make? It feels like Manchester United's transfer business at the minute is dependent on a lot of varying factors. A lot of those factors, if you trace them back, lead back to Real Madrid. Now, in terms of outgoings, one outgoing that could be on the horizon, and I'm sorry I've not got something a little bit more emphatic than one outgoing that could be on the horizon, but that's where we're at, is Joshua Zirkzee. Now, we know that Juve are interested in him. We know because everyone is reporting it. I don't think you can just name one paper. It's basically all the papers saying Juve are interested in Joshua Zirkzee. The twist is, it looks like they're interested in him as a loan deal rather than a permanent deal. Manchester United want a permanent deal, from what we gather, around the £30 million mark, which I think is about fair. Joshua Zirkzee, I think, cost us about 42, 43 million quid. Didn't set the world alight at Old Trafford, let's not kid ourselves. did okay for a spell, but obviously hasn't got the numbers or the performances where you go, he can be a real sort of asset to Manchester United if we are going to kick on this season. Good player, very good on the ball, just doesn't do enough for me.
Yes, some breaking boxing news for you. And we knew that former world heavyweight champion Tyson Fury was back in the ring this afternoon, and he's won his bout, his comeback fight. He stopped Marius Vac, who ended the fight on his stall after 7 rounds. Now, this fight was taking place in Thailand. Fury was on top throughout the bout, and now this means it sets up a potential heavyweight clash with fellow Briton Anthony Joshua. Of course, Joshua fights Albanian Christian Prenga in Saudi Arabia tomorrow night. Our man out there, Dev Sani, reporting from Thailand, says that the fight was waved off, and as Fury raised his hands, there were a few sprinkling of boos from the crowd because they didn't see a clean knockout. Fury won't care about any of that. He stopped his man in the 7th round, and you hope that if Anthony Joshua can get through his opponents, it could set up that all-British heavyweight clash in this coming autumn. Exciting news.
Old Trafford has a problem that money alone can't fix, and the answer might already be wearing Chelsea blue. Lewis Hall, 20 years old, left back by trade, but increasingly a midfielder in disguise. And according to sources close to the situation, Manchester United's recruitment team has quietly placed him near the top of their shortlist for the summer rebuild. This isn't a rumor born from a slow news day. This is a club with a specific, well-documented weakness, and a player whose profile fits that gap almost too well. Let's get into it. Manchester United's left-back situation has been a talking point for over 2 years now. Injuries, inconsistency, and a lack of a long-term answer in that position have forced the club's hierarchy to revisit the market repeatedly, and repeatedly come up short. What makes Hall different from the names United have circled before is versatility. He's not just a defender who can bomb forward. Coaches who've worked with him describe a player comfortable stepping into midfield, someone who reads the game a half-second quicker than most players his age. For a United side searching for balance, not just bodies, that's the kind of profile that turns a shortlist name into a priority target. Here's where it gets complicated. Chelsea didn't sign Hall to sell him 18 months later. He arrived from Chelsea's own academy pathway as one of the most promising young English defenders in the country, and the club has invested time, coaching, and squad opportunities into his development. Sources within Chelsea's setup suggest the player isn't short of admirers internally either. Squad depth at left back is not something Chelsea consider settled, particularly with the physical demands of a season that includes European football. Selling to a direct Premier League rival, one they've clashed with repeatedly in recent transfer windows, is not a decision Chelsea will treat casually, even if the number on the table is significant. Valuation is where these situations usually stall, and this one is no different. Industry estimates on Hall's current value sit in a range that reflects both his age and his ceiling, not just what he's done, but what he could become. That puts United in a position familiar to anyone who's followed their recent business, paying a premium for potential rather than a discount for proven output. There's also the structure of any deal to consider. Buyback clauses, sell-on percentages, and future fee triggers have become standard features of transfers between Premier League clubs in this range, and neither side is likely to move quickly without those details settled first.